Here it is. This is an entire master set of Pokemon's newest release, Twilight Masquerade. And this is a custom built binder that was made by a member of the fan clan for the fan clan. That's right. One lucky subscriber is going to win this entire master set. And if you want that to be you, here's all you have to do. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and then head over to this video right up here. Leave a like and a comment on that video and then come back on Friday, June 7th, to see if you are the lucky winner of a brand new master set of Twilight Masquerade. Good luck. I started recording this video. This is my fifth time recording this video, but it starts off with some sass, and I'm not usually very sassy, so I don't really know how to do the sass. I don't even know who says sass. But I guess I can be Sassy Phantom. Nobody says that. I'm probably, this is a weird start. This is why I've had to restart the video 5 times, because this is just a weird start, weird intro to a video. But it started out like this, like after a year and a half, finally, it seems like people are opening up to the idea of the Scarlet and Violet generation being kind of cool. It's not fully cool yet, but it's kind of cool. Special illustration rares are okay. Illustration rares are pretty cool. The artwork is great. Like a year and a half later, we are finally getting to the point where people are okay with Scarlet and Violet. Now, maybe not necessarily some of the new mons, and I understand that. Like, it takes a while to warm up to things, but we've talked about this before. Every generation has taken a while to warm up to, and now Scarlet and Violet, maybe a little bit longer, but there's some really cool new Pokemon in here, and the illustration rares and special illustration rares have basically slapped since the release of Scarlet and Violet base, and we've talked about that on this channel. One set that we've talked about a lot on this channel is Paldea Evolved. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, because that set's gone bananas. But for the most part, Scarlet and Violet has been a fairly good generation. The big difference is pull rates were a lot different, right? Like, pull rates were fairly easy. Obtaining your chase or obtaining some of those upper echelon cards were fairly easy. It wasn't like, hey, you got to open up 2,000 packs to get one. And now, since Fanny has to go and open up 3,000 packs to get a Hearthflame Ogerpon, it seems like the chase cards are a little bit more difficult. And now we see the money side of things, and now we see things starting to grow a little bit, and now all of a sudden Scarlet and Violet is okay. It's starting to do a little bit better. And I will hold true to everything that I've said. I loved Scarlet and Violet base. Yeah, the pull rates were fairly easy, but the set itself is okay. Like, there's some really cool artwork in the set. Paldea Evolved is absolutely fantastic. The best set that we've had in the Scarlet and Violet block so far. Obsidian Flames is really the lone set that I haven't been a huge fan of. Really reminds me of Darkness Ablaze as far as like a Charizard set goes. It's got some cool illustration rares in it. The Ninetales is really cool. I like the Scizor. I like the Cleffa. That's a really cool looking card. But for the most part, it's an okay set. Like, it's not great. When it comes to Paradox Rift, that set is absolutely phenomenal. Temporal Forces is really, really cool. Twilight Masquerade, not bad, especially the illustration rares. Some of the special illustration rares, the Ogerpons didn't do it for me, but for the most part, the set is good. Paldean Fates is the one set that I've been kind of off on. I wasn't overly excited for it. After I opened it, I got a little bit more excited for it, but still not the best of sets. So, I mean, ultimately, Scarlet and Violet, as far as the generation goes, has been really good, and it just seems like it took a long time for people to kind of warm up to it. Now, I don't think we're there yet, but I think a lot more people are starting to pay more attention to it, and part of that is because there is not as much Sword and Shield product out and about. Like, obviously, alternate arts are a big deal, but those got really expensive, especially in a lot of different areas. When you're talking about $600, $700, $800, $900 for a specific alternate art, that can price a lot of people out, and then maybe they'll start focusing on Scarlet and Violet and be like, you know what, this isn't too bad. But it seems like also the attention that the Scarlet and Violet generation is getting is a lot more than what it used to be. We're going to talk about Paldea Evolved, because like I said, Paldea Evolved has gone bananas. But Paldea Evolved actually is a lot different of a set than I think a lot of people are giving it attention to, a little bit different of what we're going to start out looking at before we look at the market. And I'm rambling, but this is important. We're going to look at pull rates for Paldea Evolved, because Paldea Evolved was like the old pull rates, and I know we're going to talk about pull rates more in depth, I think, in tomorrow's video, because this is very, very interesting stuff, and it's very important stuff too. So on the left hand side of the screen, we've got Paldea Evolved pull rates. On the right hand side of the screen, we've got Twilight Masquerade pull rates, and things changed a lot. Things changed really, really fast. Obsidian Flames, we started noticing a little bit of change. Paradox Rift, we started noticing a change a lot more. Remember, Paradox Rift really started getting rid of those double bangers where you didn't see them nearly as much at all. And then Temporal Forces was like, hey, completely different pull rates than what we're used to. Twilight Masquerade was very similar to that. So looking at Twilight Masquerade, so there's 21 illustration rares in Twilight Masquerade and 11 special illustration rares in Twilight Masquerade. 36 illustration rares. Paldea Evolved, big set. 36 illustration rares in Paldea Evolved. 15 special illustration rares. So when it comes to that special illustration rare, really not that much more in Paldea Evolved than Twilight Masquerade. The big difference is the illustration rares, where there's over 3 times as many illustration rares in Paldea Evolved than there is in Twilight Masquerade. If you look at the average hits per box, so 12.27 for Paldea Evolved versus 14.53 for Twilight Masquerade. Now, you get 2 more hits in Twilight Masquerade, but the caveat that we have to remember is that you also get those ace specs in Twilight Masquerade, which make up about 2 hits by themselves. So if we take off those 2 hits, you're at like 12.5 hits for Twilight Masquerade, basically the same as Paldea Evolved. So you're getting the same level of hits. But if you look at that first section at the top there, that average double rares per box, we went from 4.86, so just under 5. So if you open up a booster box of Paldea Evolved, you're going to pull approximately 5 double rares. 5 of those regular art EX cards. You might pull 4, but on average, you're probably going to pull 5. You get 1.5 more in Twilight Masquerade. So if you open up a box of Twilight Masquerade, those regular arts, those double rares, you are going to get at least 6. You might get 7, but you will get at least 6, which is a huge difference when it comes to your ultra rare pulls in a set. So you will still get the same amount of hits approximately in a booster box. So pull rates, while they changed, they didn't necessarily change in the amount of hits that you get. They changed in the upper rarity, the special illustration rares, the hyper rares. Like those have changed big time. If we look at double rares or ultra rares, the full arts, very similar. 1 out of every 15 packs, 2.42 per box in Twilight Masquerade versus 2.37 in Paldea Evolved. Illustration rares also have not changed. You get 3 per box in Paldea Evolved. You get 3 per box in Twilight Masquerade. There might be a time where you get 2, but for the most part, you're going to get 3 almost every single time. If you look at the special illustration rares, this is where it's a huge difference. 1.31. So Paldea Evolved, basically every booster box you open up, you are going to get at least 1 special illustration rare. Now, I'm sure there's somebody out there who opened up a booster box and got 2 hyper rares and no special illustration rares, but for the most part, you're going to open up a booster box in Paldea Evolved and you are going to be guaranteed at least 1 special illustration rare. And many times you're going to get 2. You are going to get 2 special illustration rares or 1 special illustration rare and 1 hyper rare. 1.31 per box, 1 out of every 27 packs. That is huge. If you look at Twilight Masquerade, it's 1 out of every 68 packs, or 0.53 per booster box. So you need to open up 2 booster boxes to get 1. So when we're talking about special illustration rares in Paldea Evolved and the variants and how many there are, even at 15, even though there are 4 more special illustration rares in Paldea Evolved, they are still less rare than the special illustration rares in Twilight Masquerade. So if we're making assumptions based off of how Pokemon print stuff, they put everything on a big sheet and they cut it down, and then based off of rarity, that determines how many slots the specific cards have on a sheet. So the fact that they're going to have 15 special illustration rares on a sheet, those are going to be easier to pull, because if you look at the variance factor, you're looking at 15 special illustration rares, 27 packs per special illustration rare, 270 plus 135 is what, 405, so about 405 packs in order to pull a specific special illustration rare. Where if you look at Twilight Masquerade, because the variance is a little bit less, but the pull rates are so much more difficult, you're looking at over 680 packs. You're looking at about 748 packs in order to pull a specific Greninja EX, a specific Greninja EX special illustration rare. So that means, in essence, we can theorize, and this could be way off, obviously, this is just the way that my brain works, that the Greninja EX special illustration rare is way more rare than the Iono special illustration rare from Paldea Evolved. Now, if you're looking at the illustration rares, like the Tyranitar, like the Raichu, those rarity levels should stay the same because we have the same pull rates in Twilight Masquerade. So like the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade should be equally as rare as the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. But the difference is Paldea Evolved has 36 illustration rares as opposed to Twilight Masquerade, which only has 21. So if you look at the variance factor of it, it's going to be way more difficult to pull one of those illustration rares in Paldea Evolved than it is in Twilight Masquerade, which is why it kind of makes sense that you see a lot of these illustration rares start inching up, because they're a lot harder to pull in Paldea Evolved than Twilight Masquerade. It just blows my mind and boggles my mind how they could have changed pull rates so much. It's just crazy to me. So you can let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. But it is definitely impacting things. Paldea Evolved is a set that a lot of people do enjoy. It's getting a lot more attention than what it did last year at this time. There was a lot of content that kind of went out about last year that said, oh, Scarlet and Violet it's not a good generation. It's not doing well. And I understand the mindset behind it. I get it. Financially, money-wise, it's not doing as well. It doesn't make it less of an amazing set to open. It doesn't. The artwork is still amazing. The competitive nature, the playability of the cards is still phenomenal. It's still really, really good. So that's why it's important not to just focus on money. But the pull rates, oh my goodness, the pull rates are so different. This is what's happened with the Paldea Evolved Booster Box over the past year, right? Really since Paldea Evolved came out, it started inching down. It was hovering right around $100 for a really long time. Its low point was $91.58. You could buy a case of Paldea Evolved for fairly cheap. And really, since February, March is when it started inching upward. I think Paldea Evolved is going to have to get reprinted at some point in time. It seems to me like Pokemon has really backed off of booster boxes, and you can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We'll talk about Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes in a video soon, very, very soon, because every single one of them is inching up and they're becoming less and less available at distribution, and the reason behind that is because they're becoming less and less available at the Pokemon Company. They have this giant warehouse, multiple warehouses where distributors get in-stock lists, and distributors can fill out an order form for, okay, well, we need a few pallets of Paldea Evolved booster boxes, and Pokemon's like, hey, right now we don't have any booster boxes. We don't have any booster boxes that we can send you at all. So then distributors are like, okay, well, what do you have? Let's order Build and Battles. Let's order sleeve boosters. That's all they can really order until Pokemon's like, okay, well, we're going to reprint a bunch of these Scarlet and Violet sets. But Paldea Evolved has been low for quite some time, and now seemingly out of stock at a lot of distributors, and that's part of the reason why it continues to edge up and up and up in price, because of that attention that it's getting. But in February of 2024, it hit that low point of $91.58, started climbing like crazy, blew up in April, blew up in May, hit $128.82 as its one. We have not seen a booster box hit that price in Scarlet and Violet ever. It's just never happened. Obviously, Sword and Shield, $120 to $130 a booster box seemed kind of normal, but even with the increase in MSRP for the Scarlet and Violet generation, we didn't usually see prices in the 120s or borderline 130, $128.82. It's settled at $127.95 right now, but continuing to trend upward. And like I said, I would assume that we'll get reprinted for Paldea Evolved, but it might get to a point where it's already too late, where it might come down to 120 or 115 and then continue to climb. So Paldea Evolved definitely starting to make moves in the card market. Here's the case, the sealed booster box case of Paldea Evolved. It did drop down to $552.07, so relatively inexpensive. You can find TikTok deals. You can find a lot of deals for Paldea Evolved, and it stayed relatively flat. So right around $600 for quite some time, really since June, about $100 a box, all the way up until April of 2024. Stayed very close to $100 a box price point, with the exception of November, when it was down to, $90 a booster box, which isn't bad at all. And now it's climbed a lot. And the lowest price on TCGPlayer cases are very difficult to find under $800 right now. So the new market price that has been established is $746.24. That's the 1-year high for this, but it's going to go up very, very quickly, because it's very difficult to find cases for under $800. It just continues to trend in the upward direction. Here's the booster pack, just a loose booster pack of Paldea Evolved, also trending in the upward direction. You can see, even though there's low points at the beginning of the graph, so in November of 2023, it was down to $2.50 per booster pack for a loose pack. Now, there's still a lot of loose packs out there. You can still find Paldea Evolved in a lot of collection boxes. There's still a lot of build and battles that are out there. Paldea Evolved still did have build and battle stadiums, although the stadiums were not as good as they used to be in Sword and Shield, because you only get 11 packs as opposed to the 12 12 packs, but still a lot of loose boosters that are available out there, so you can still get a little taste of Paldea Evolved, but definitely trending in the upward direction. You can see right now it's sitting at $3.24. It's still off of a really brief period of time where it hit $3.37. That happened in November of 2023, where it kind of peaked and then dropped back down. I think it was just low stock on TCGPlayer at the time, and then more and more stock hit the shelves, and it just kind of started to drop before going back up like what we see in February of 2024, and now in April of 2024 hitting $3.24, but continuing to inch upward. The cards in the set doing extremely well, especially some of those illustration rares like we were talking about. This all goes back to pull rates, some of the variance factors of it. Very, very interesting. So this is the Magikarp right here. We saw this shoot up like crazy in April of 2024. It was slowly climbing. Remember, this was always the second most expensive card in the set to the special illustration rare Iono. Iono always kind of led the forefront when it came to Paldea Evolved. Iono was a great card for a collector, but also a great card from competitive play. It's a staple in a lot of decks. Basically does a great job with disruption, and also increases consistency, especially earlier on in the game. Very good card. In June of 2023, about a year ago, this card was selling for $44.28. That was its 1 year low, and it slowly climbed. Like, we're not seeing gigantic buyouts or anything like that yet. When it came to Magikarp, for a long time, it just slowly inched forward. It inched forward. A lot of people kind of waited back on Magikarp, like, okay, well, it's got to come back down, and then it went crazy in April of 2024. Once money signs started sparking a lot of attention for a lot of people, and it jumped up over $100. It overtook Iono as the most expensive card in the set, and now it just continues to climb, sitting at $113.06. Also, it's important to note that the print lines on illustration rares, card quality is just not great for unfortunately for English cards. It's just not. They have to figure out a way to fix it. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, why do we keep having so many problems with print lines? Over in Japan, it's beautiful, and you can buy a Japanese version of this card which looks super clean for way cheaper, but for some reason over in the United States we cannot get decent quality cards, and that's why the population for this card is much lower in a PSA 10, and you're looking at $600-$700 for a PSA 10 copy of Magikarp, which is insane, but that's because print quality is just so bad. But sitting at $113.06 currently, continuing to climb in the upward direction. So even though it's theoretically as rare as the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade, the variance kills. Like, it's just going to take, with 36 illustration rares, 1 out of every 12 packs, you're looking at over 400 packs just basically to pull one Magikarp, because variance plays such a big factor on things. So Magikarp doing extremely well. Iono has dropped quite a bit. You can see it's currently sitting at $79.37. Part of that is just because more surplus has hit, so competitive players don't need to rely on something like this for different rarities in their deck. They have a special illustration in Paldean Fates. There's different rarities as uncommon cards. Obviously, we got the milk carton, the Iono milk carton, but this card has been steadily declining really since release. $130.92 is where it started at, dropped really quickly, and then hovered around $90 to $100 for quite some time, really up until November. Once we got that reprint announcement, or the announcement of the milk carton Iono, it kind of fell down quite a bit more. It dropped down to $73.05. Recently, it's been hanging relatively flat over the past couple months, sitting at $79.37 currently. Here's the Tyranitar. This one has blown up over the past month. Again, variance plays a huge factor. Relatively flat for a year. It hit $16.40 in February, but for the most part, it was always between $17 and $20, $25, somewhere around there, and then slowly started climbing up until April of 2024, and then shot up, over doubled in price, almost tripled in price, sitting at $44.07 currently, which is just off of its 1 year high of $45.62. Here's the Sleepy Raichu, beautiful looking card. This one is also blown up over the past month, currently sitting at $42.66, which is just off of its 1 year high of $43.67. But for the most part, for a year, relatively flat, right around $15. $15.18 was its 1 year low, which it hit in November. It was also at that price in July. It was also at that price in December, and then kind of January is when it started climbing a little bit, and then, like I said, April is when things really started to take off. Here's the latest one that's been kind of bought out. It's the Chi-Yu special illustration rare. You can see relatively flat most of the year, started trending downward from June of 2023 all the way up until February of 2024. That's where it hit its 1 year low of $13.97. Started inching upward, but then because quantities got so low, really started blowing up. It basically went from a $13, $14 card overnight. It doubled in price, and now it's sitting at $36.11. So we'll see if more quantity hits and then is able to bring that price back down. The Chime Pao has also started started increasing quite a bit. This one's always been a bit more expensive because of its playability. It's always been fairly good in competitive play. It should be around for a while. In December of 2023, it hit that one-year low of $17.36 before starting to trend upward, and now it's been a steady growth over the past 6 months or so. It hit $33.76 back in June of 2023, right when the set released. Now it's hovering right or hit $28 a couple weeks ago, and now it's hovering right around $25.93. The Super Rod, very, very strong competitive card. That's really the only reason this one is as high as it is. Gold cards don't typically do that well, so if you're still waiting on this one, you may want to wait a while longer because it's not going to really drop until it becomes less and less utilized in competitive play. July of 2023, it was only selling for about $12.51, but it's over doubled in price. Hit $25.80 in April. Now it's backed off a little bit, sitting at $21.49. Part of it is just because of the playability of the decks that feature it. Like you need it for Lost Zone, you need it for Lost Box, you need it for Giratina. Once it gets played a little bit less, it won't be as expensive, but still $21.49 currently. Here's the Full Art Iono. Again, another card that got impacted a lot by that milk carton. $43.37 is where it started at. It's been continuing to come down. It should drop a little bit more yet. It recently hit $18.26. That was its one-year low. Now it's sitting at $19.22. It seems they are reprinting those Iono milk cartons again, so we're going to have more quantities of it hit the market that might impact this even more. Here's the Tinkaton EX Special Illustration Rare. I laugh because I just love the artwork on this card. It looks really, really cool. $16.14 is where it's currently sitting. It's been relatively flat really ever since release. $18.64 is where it hit in September, but you can see really since September of 2023 up until now, it's been up and down, but for the most part, it hasn't really fluctuated much at all. $13.86 was its low point. Now it's sitting at $16.14, so you're looking at about 10% differential over the past year. Only a couple dollars. Boss's Orders has been doing really well. This is a special illustration rare. Again, another very competitive card, but the special illustration rares, as they have less quantities, becomes a little bit more dangerous. In February of 2024, this was down to $11.13. Grew quite a bit now over the past 4 months. It hit $16.94 recently. That was its one-year high, and now it's dropped to $16.10. And the last one that we're going to look at, some of the other illustration rares, you definitely want to keep an eye on them. If you're missing out on any of them, you don't want to wait, I think, too much longer, just because it's dangerous when quantities get a little bit lower. Obviously, if you look and see what's out there and how much are being posted, you should be okay, but pay attention to that kind of stuff. This one dropped down to $8.01 in February of 2024. Now it's gone up about 25% over the past few months, and again, the variance plays a huge factor when it comes to Paldea Evolved. It hit $12.62 recently. That's its one-year high and continuing to trend upward, but it has not been a situation like what we've seen with the Raichu and the Tyranitar. Very interesting to see what happens with the future Paldea Evolved. Hopefully we will get a reprint soon. As soon as that information comes out, obviously I will let you guys know, keep you guys well apprised as much as I possibly can. That's it. That's all we're talking about for Paldea Evolved. It's a fun set. It's a great set. Beautiful artwork all over the place, up and down, top to bottom. Beautiful artwork, great competitive cards. I'm glad people are finally waking up to it, but yeah, it's amazing. Hope you guys are well. I'm going to stop rambling. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. If you enjoyed the content, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. We'll be back tomorrow with our giveaway with another video. Until next time, peace.